What's up, guys? In this video we are continuing our discussion on concealed carry. This is the second video in a series that I'm doing, basically getting back to the beginnings of my channel. If you did not get to watch that first video, please go back on my channel in this series, on this playlist. Watch that first video where we talk about what we're doing here and some of the preliminary things that you need to know about and you should be doing if you decide to choose to carry a firearm for self-defense. What we're going to be doing in this video is actually talking about some of the things to consider when selecting a defensive firearm. But before we get started, guys, I wanted to take a minute to say a big thank you to all of my channel members. If you want to join the channel, get early access to these videos, and help support what we do here, go over to my main page and join there. Also, be sure to subscribe if you're new here, like and share the video, and leave me a comment down below. The first thing and the most critical thing to consider when trying to decide on a firearm for self-defense is the gun reliable? If the gun is not reliable, you do not need to carry that gun. And the only way that you are going to know if that gun is reliable is to get it out to the range and shoot it. Take it to training courses, running those drills, seeing how it's going to perform. If that gun fails in training, then that is a gun that you do not want to have or to carry with you in the event of something happening. Because again, if it's going to fail in training, that's where you learn. That's where you learn what your equipment does, what it will do, what it will not do. Okay, now the second thing that you need to remember is do not let someone else decide for you the gun you should carry. It needs to be a personal choice. It needs to be a decision that you make yourself. The gun needs to be something that you are comfortable with, that you are accurate with. And I will just tell you out there, guys, we are in the golden age of firearms, but at the same time, there are a lot of junk guns out there on the market, so beware. Now, you also need to consider how that gun is going to fit in your hands. This is my Glock 43X. This gun, or a SIG 365, the XL model, is as small as I personally would go. That is because with this gun, I can still get a full grip on the gun. Some of these small, subcompact, these super compact micro guns, you cannot get a good grip on them, which means that you are not going to have good recoil management, and especially under stress, you're not going to be able to fire accurate shots, but simply because you cannot get a good grip on that gun. A SIG 365 XL, which I do have one, is another valid option. Another thing, and this is purely my personal opinion, I will not go smaller than a 9mm. I know that there are 380s out there on the market. There's all kinds of different technologies and ammunition, but still, based upon the power of the round, the cartridges, there is, in my opinion, no benefit with going with anything smaller than a 9mm for a defensive firearm. I have had people come into my classes that have brought these subcompact, these super tiny 380 pistols, and they ended up shooting the class with one of my guns, a larger caliber, but at the same time it was one that they could get a grip on, and with that good grip they were able to better manage the recoil of that firearm. And when the class was over, it was very clear that they decided that they were going to step up to a gun that they could get a good grip on. So that's just my own personal preference, guys. And you know, one of the ladies that come and took one of my classes a few years ago, she had a 380 and she told me that it felt like the gun was jumping out of her hands. She then shot the class with one of my Glock 19s and had no issues, preferred that gun, and in my understanding, she actually ended up buying one of those guns. So now the next thing that you want to remember is you need to look for a gun that is designed for the purpose of concealed carry or a defensive use firearm. Something like this. This is my Canik Meta. This gun is a wonderful gun. It is a very accurate gun. This gun has been super reliable, and in the role of a concealed carry firearm, This could function. However, I personally do not think that it is the best choice. And here's why. This gun is primarily designed as more of a competition model. There are several within the Canik lineup that are similar to that. The Canik TTI Combats. I have one of those. I've got videos on it on my channel. Go over to my channel and check it out. Those guns are wonderful for competition. They have a super crisp trigger. The triggers on these guns is absolutely amazing. It's just you have a little bit of take up and you hit that wall right about there and it just goes. Do people carry these guns for their concealed carry firearm? Yes. It's their preference. And again, guys, this is a lot my opinion. My opinion, I would not. And the reason that I would not is because of that super clean, super light trigger. In a stressful situation, under a, when you are in literally the most stressful time that you could possibly be in, trying to protect your life, you are going to have adrenaline flowing like crazy. Okay, you are going to be hit with an intoxicant known as adrenaline, and if you were in a situation to where your finger is on that trigger, you're probably not even going to notice that you've pressed that trigger. That adrenaline is going to be so high that you will, you could press that trigger and not even know it. You don't want that. You want to know when you are going to break that shot, when you have decided to press that trigger in self-defense. Okay, not saying that you could not defend yourself with one of these guns. That is not correct. This would work well. This would be able to fire the ammunition well, a defensive load ammunition. And that is another key point. You need to make sure that the firearm you choose will fire the cartridges you decide to go with. There's a ton of different guns on the market that will fire any type of target load out there, but that they are not designed for the plus P loads or the hollow points. Whatever type of ammunition you choose to carry, that is what you need to make sure will run in your gun. Okay, be clear about that. If it will not run in your gun in practice and training, then it does not need to be a ammunition that you carry. Okay, if your gun will run one type of defensive ammunition but not another, that should be something that you consider as well. Another choice that's on the market, and this is one that is very popular among a lot of people, is the 1911. This is my TSOS 1911 stainless carry. I love this gun. This gun is one of the 1911s that I have that I will occasionally carry if I decide to carry a 1911. This particular gun has possibly the best trigger on it of any of my 1911s. It is super crisp. It is like a glass rod. This is, again, one of those guns that would work. Okay, there's very little take up on this, and then I get to that wall there and it just fires. The reset on it is approximately right there, and it goes again. This trigger is still light. This trigger is one that, as I had mentioned previously, it almost could be a little too light, but again, it depends on what you are familiar with, what type of training that you have invested yourself in. If you go through your training classes and you have that super light trigger, then by all means, go and carry that gun. You carry what works for you, not what I tell you. This is just my opinion. Me, as light as that trigger is on this, I'm not going to say I would never carry it. It's just it would not be my first choice. Something else to consider on the 1911 is two things. One is the ammunition capacity, and there again, that goes with any of the guns that you carry. The other thing is the size of the ammunition, the caliber, and whether or not you can manage that recoil, because if you cannot manage that recoil, then the gun might be a little too large for you. This is 45 ACP. If you cannot effectively manage the recoil of a 45 ACP, then step down, because it is better for you to hit your target with a smaller caliber firearm than it is to miss them with a larger caliber firearm. Step down to something that you are comfortable with, that you can manage the recoil of. If you're out there on the range and you're finding that you are more concerned about controlling the recoil of that gun, then that is too large of a caliber for you to carry. Okay, step down, go to a smaller size. The other thing to consider, as I mentioned, is the capacity, the total number of rounds in the gun. We see a rise this day and age of multiple attacker incidents. Okay, do you have enough ammunition to be able to deal with multiple threats? Okay, you do not need to run out of ammo. You need to make sure that your gun is going to have enough rounds, to carry enough rounds, that it will take care of the threat, whatever it is. Okay, you need to make sure of that. Now, there again, guys, we're not talking about trying to live a life of like a soldier overseas would, to where we're carrying ridiculous amounts of ammo. Where you live at may influence that. Some states, some locations limit the total number of rounds that you can have in your gun. That's something to consider. What type of gun you choose goes back to all of the things that we've talked about so far. Something that is reliable, something that you are accurate with, something that you are proficient with. 1911s can be one option. They can be one option for you. That crisp trigger, these are a heavier gun. You know, that some people like the fact that they are hammer fired. The sights, many of the guns out there these days have a lot of new features. The sights can be replaced, upgraded to whatever. There's a lot of features on these. Just like this gun here, I've upgraded the grips on it. This palm swell grip, these are lock grips. Check the link down below in the description of the video to where you can go over and check them out. But make sure that whatever gun you choose is one that's going to work for you. Another thing to consider, of course, this being a 45, there are just some calibers that are too large for some people. This gun here is my Glock 20. This is a 10 millimeter. This is a gun that is a beast, you know, as far as like the recoil. It has a much more recoil, a much harder recoil, a much stouter recoil than a Glock 19, Glock 43X, you know, a 9mm round. This gun does have much more recoil, and you need to be able to manage that recoil. Okay, this gun with my hands, it fits my hands fine. Some other folks might find this gun uncomfortable due to the fact of the size of that grip. Okay, a 1911, a 45 ACP, and there again, you can get these chambered in other calibers as well. My opinion on 9mm 1911s. If it is an area that limits you to 10 rounds, and again, this is my personal opinion, you can choose to carry one if you so to do so. However, if you are carrying a 9mm 1911, remember that you are limited on your ammunition capacity. If you live in a more free part of the country, that may work for you. It's just, again, your choice, because by comparison, this gun here, standard capacity magazine is 10 rounds. This is a 43X. I know retired police officers, in fact, one is a friend of mine. This is his everyday carry. He carries regularly a 43X. That's his choice to carry. Of course, where we are, there's not a lot of violence. This is a very good area. You liberals will hate it here because it is extremely conservative and an extremely pro-gun. So just remember that, guys. This gun here is much heavier. Okay, I can get the same capacity, and actually a couple of rounds more, in this than I could this, even with the 10-round magazines that you can get for these. And of course, you know, I'm referring to the 9mm version, using this as an example. You can get those higher capacity magazines for the 1911 and have a couple more rounds in there, but look at the size difference. Again, this is just something for you to consider. Not saying that you would be making the wrong choice if you decided to carry a 1911. There's a lot of folks out there that regularly carry a 1911 and they're very proficient with them. This here is a much lighter gun. It is you know, a little more concealable, but back to the old saying, And I think that Clint Smith is one that has made the statement, and I know I'll probably mess up his quote, but they're all too big for concealment. None of them are too big to fight with, or something to that effect. You guys let me know what the exact quote is down in the comments below. These are just a few choices, a few things to talk about. And there's a lot of different guns on the market these days that are very affordable. You can have good guns that are affordable. Don't spend your money on these junk guns that you think you might save a few dollars on when you can get something that is much more reliable. Canik is a good manufacturer. They have some different ones out there that are designed for concealed carry that are just phenomenal. We have a lot of Glock clones coming on the market. There are some of them that are good, some not so good. This is a Bear Creek Arsenal Grizzly. This is a Glock clone. For not much more than what you would pay for one of those High Points or something like that, you could get something that is a little bit better of a gun, in my opinion. There's also Taurus. You have a lot of other manufacturers out there that are making decent guns, but regardless of the manufacturer, even if you go out and spend the money and get a Glock 19 like this one right here, get it to the range. Put the rounds through it with the defensive ammunition that you're going to carry to know that this gun is going to run the way that you need it to. Okay, that's just a few thoughts, guys. I know this has kind of turned into a little bit of a rambling video, but I wanted to emphasize this to you as much as possible. Okay, I appreciate your time, guys. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment below. In the in the comments down there, I would like to know your opinion on this, guys. What gun do you carry as your self-defense firearm? Let me hear from you, guys. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Check out all the links down below. Visit my website at boomsticktactical.com, and we'll see you next time.